Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with the Look at the Market for the week ending Friday, March 12th, 2021. I haven't done a video in a couple of weeks and I thought it should be nice to do one tonight. Those of you who attended the family meeting will find some of this, of course, most of this redundant, but anyway, we'll begin by bringing up the disclaimer and ask you to be sure you understand that this is not an attempt to give anyone particular investment advice, since I am not a professional investment advisor. I'm a psychologist and I do this for my own purposes, and it's in the form of a YouTube video, and anyone can look at it and use it in any way they wish. Okay. So what I usually do for those who are relatively new to this is I usually review the general market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and then take a look at some charts concerning the general market, some stock charts that I have, and then we take a look at some individual charts, okay, individual stocks. So let's begin. So here we go with a weekly chart of the S&P 500. That's what we usually do before we do the daily chart. I learned that from my friend Alex Elder. Never look at a daily before you look at a weekly chart, because you're making your strategic decisions based on the weekly chart. And the strategic decision answers the question, is this a market I should be invested in right now? The daily chart gives you tactical decisions. Is this the correct time to enter the market, or vice versa? So what we have here on the weekly chart is we can see the moving averages that I use, which is a 4 EMA, 4 exponential moving average, is above a 9 EMA, and that's above the 30 weighted moving average, front weighted moving average. And these are above each other from the lower period to the higher period. And therefore, according to the moving averages, we still have an uptrend in spite of these fluctuations here. Okay. Notice too that the parabolic, this white dot, moved below last week's bar. So the parabolic is now indicating we have an uptrend, switch from a downtrend to an uptrend. Okay. Last 2 weeks we had what is called a bullish harami. The body of this doji is completely engulfed by the body of this bar, this candlestick, and that was a bullish harami. And what we had last week was a market that S&P that closed higher than it opened. It opened here and closed here. So the market's still looking pretty bullish. Another thing that I noticed is that as far as the Bollinger Bands are concerned, 2 and 3 standard deviations. This is 2 standard deviations or 3 standard deviations here. We have quite a ways, about what, 100 points or so to get to. The 3 standard deviation would be 40.51 and 40.46. So we are 39.43, talking about 100 points, okay? Which would be about 800 to 1,000 points on the Dow. So that would be a nice move if we could get it. All right. So that's insofar as this area here is concerned. The next thing we can see is that the directional movement index, ADX, is still bullish because this DI plus is still above DI minus. MACD histogram 1226.9 went below the zero line, gave us a bearish signal here. But remember that in my reading of Jerry Appel's book on how to use the MACD, I read that he said you should use this 1939.9 as your sell signal and use this as your buy signal. So we don't have a sell signal. We didn't get a sell signal on the 1939.9. Therefore, I say market's still pretty bullish. Okay, that's what I'm reading here. Here's a daily chart of the S&P 500. And when we take a look at this, we see that We were hitting that 50 volume weighted moving average here, this magenta line. We found support here, we went up, we found support here again, and we went up from there. Right now, the 4 EMA is above the 9, 9 is above the 30. So insofar as these averages are concerned, we have an uptrend. We have two nice bars. Well, we had about four bullish bars last week. The last 4 days. It was only on Monday that we had this bearish bar. But we had 4 nice days here. We closed higher than we opened on the daily chart on Friday. So we should expect Monday to be a bullish day. Whenever we close higher than we open on a Friday, the Monday is usually a follow through. So we'll see how that works. We'll see if it materializes. Now the parabolic switched to being below the most recent bar here, and it remained there since. So insofar as parabolic is concerned, we still have an uptrend. Okay, and we are not not near the 2 standard deviation line. We saw that on the weekly chart and also on the daily chart. The 2 standard deviation line is about 3980. Call it 4,000. Well, call it 3980. Okay, and we are now 3943. So at least we have another 40 points to go on the daily chart here to get to 2 standard deviations. That would be about 400 points on the Dow. 350 to 400 points on the Dow. Okay, if we go down to the lower indicators here on the lower part of the chart, we can see that the DI minus moved above the DI plus way back here, and we can see that we were getting some reversal. It looked like a reversal here, didn't quite come about yet. However, when we go down to MACD, we can see that MACD gave us a buy signal. Remember, we take buy signals off this one. So MACD gave us a green histogram, buy signal, and we have the other one where we take our sell signals actually trending up from below the zero line. We got our first sell signal here, and now we're getting a buy signal on the 1226.9. So all in all, I think the market still is looking pretty bullish, and I'm invested. I bought more stocks again. I went in too early a couple of weeks ago, and I got stopped out, but I'm back in the game. I bought some more stocks again. Okay, let's take a look at what Jake Bernstein's chart looks like. Here's Jake Bernstein's chart. Well, one that I learned from him, where you plot the 10 period moving average of the highs and the 8 period moving average of the lows, and you have this moving average channel, as he calls it. Now, what Jake has two as I understand it, 2 buy signals. The first buy signal is when you have 2 complete bars above the moving average of the highs, and you also have the accumulation distribution line above its average, this 57 period moving average. So that would be, in this case, it would be a 57 week moving average. Okay, so this was your first buy signal here, because you had a setup and you had a trigger. Now, if you didn't buy it here, and I've said this in your previous emails, previous videos, Jake likes to use a more conservative buy signal, which is a close between these two lines in the channel. Okay, so this would be a good one. You get a right channel, you get a nice rally here. You buy it. Here's another conservative buy signal. You get a little rally, and here you get another conservative buy signal. And since then you rallied up, another one here, etc. And so recently we had another one here, and that led to this bullish harami on the weekly chart. And and last week we had a really nice bullish bar. So this configuration of these here could almost be seen as what is called a rising star, a bullish rising star. Okay, so on Jake's weekly chart, we have the same bullish indications. On the daily chart, you can see that you have if you didn't buy in here in the channel, now you have a buy signal here because you have 2 complete bars above the moving average of the highs, and you have your setup here. This was your setup. because you had your advanced accumulation distribution line above the average, and then you got the trigger here with the two bars. So you can work either way. This can be a setup and this a trigger, or this can be a setup and this a trigger. So it works either way, okay? Now I have a few other indicators here, but we don't need to look at those. These are the ones that Jake uses. Although you could see the stochastic trended up nicely here. All right, so let's leave the S&P. We'll take a look at the Qs. Here's the NASDAQ. I won't spend much time on it, but you can see the weekly chart here. We don't have a sell signal. We still have the accumulation distribution line above the average, and we don't have a sell signal. We don't have a setup of two bars, complete bars below here, and we still have this above the average. So there's no sell signal here. And staying with the Qs, the NASDAQ, we don't have two complete bars, two successive complete bars in all of this here. We had two here, but we didn't have a trigger because this was still above the line here, right? So we never really got a legitimate sell signal on the daily chart, as we didn't on the weekly chart as well, as you saw. So now it looks as though we are still here below the moving average on the NASDAQ, okay? But we are in the channel now, so we'll see where that goes. But we don't have a sell signal on that. I'd like to turn to the sector analysis here. We have this this icon on my screen, and I think I've sent it to you guys. The sector tracker of the spiders. You could download it, and in fact, you can then take a look and see what the sectors are looking like, how they're trading. Right now, I have a 3-month look at the sectors here, and you can see that the sectors performing best in the last 3 months are the energy sector, the financial sector. You could even look at the percentages increase here. The XLE was up 30%, the energy sector, in the last 3 months. That's not bad. That's pretty damn good. XLF was up 22%. On this side of the screen here, you could see these are the stocks that are the best performing in the last 3 months. So I find this to be very useful. This is a nice screen here. I mean, and it's, you know, it's right there for you. So we can use it any way we wish, but we can see what are the best performing stocks, stocks especially. I don't think they use ETFs here. In any case, you can go to 1 month and see how they're performing. You can see that the XLE and XLF is still performing well. The materials are performing well too, and the industrials are performing well. Why I'm showing you this is because for a long time I've been wanting to do some sector rotation trades, you know, set up a certain part of my portfolio with these sector ETFs, and I've discussed it with my friends Terry and others, and now I'm doing it. I own a couple of these sectors: XLE, XLF, XLC. Okay, so if you look back at the 3-month chart, you can see XLC is one of those that are performing well in the last 3 months. And so I'm going to look at the 3-month performance and do that. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is the market timers. So let's go here and log in. And this is best choice. And so what we're going to do is bring up SPY, okay, the S&P. All right, bring up SPY. You could see that it's now at an extreme of 33, which means it's not even at the 50% line here in this regression channel. And if we look at the seasonal charts, and if I change this to 56, get a longer period, and see how it would perform in the first 6 months of the year, you can see that is what I sent you. That you have a seasonal trade from March 3rd, from March 7 to May 10. From this here, from March 7 to May 10. Okay, seasonal trade. 94% win percentage. 16 out of 17 years it's up. Look at the last 3 years, the performance. Well, this is 21 so far, but you could see the last 2 years what it's up. 19%, 13%, etc. So we have a seasonal trade on, folks. I just want to show you that. Let's turn to some charts from stock charts. On stock charts is a chart of Apple. I think you could pretty much make a case for a double bottom here. Yeah, Apple made a bottom here, made another bottom here, almost like a double bottom. And now it seems to getting ready to trend up here. You could see that MACD is trending up. So Apple is looking interesting again. I haven't bought it back yet, but it's one of those that I would buy again. Okay. If we look at the charts of the new high, new low index, you could see that it came down, made this low here, and is now shot right back up. So this is reflecting the bullish week we had, okay, or last couple of weeks really that we had, okay. If we look at the next one, which is the impulse indicator, you will see that this is Alex Elder's impulse indicator. You can see that MACD became positive. You got your buy signal, right, on the S&P, and you can see that bars are now green. So this is what do you call it? A censoring indicator. What it tells us what we ought not to do. So we ought not to be shorting this market. We ought to either buy or hold what we have. That's basically how I read it anyway. The percent R is now in bullish territory. Okay. The next one is the McClellan oscillator, and you can see it's now in bullish territory again. Okay. And this one here, this chart here, is the percentage of the S&P 500 above the 200-day moving average, and you can see it's now back up above 80%. It's at 85%. So that's a pretty good indication that stocks are on the uptrend anyway. Here's your weekly chart of it. We had this big drop in December of 2018, and then this one in March of last year. And since then, we've been in bullish territory. Okay, and of course they're buying stocks, not bonds. This is the ratio of capital and income fund Fidelity to the bond fund. Okay. Now let's go to shaking. I'm moving along pretty fast, but this is a video. You could always slow it up and play it back or whatever. Okay. What I did was went through the major watch list that I have, and I picked out stocks that I thought looked interesting for one reason or another, especially stocks that are oversold but not necessarily so. So if you want, you could take a picture of these stocks. You could take a picture of this of these stocks here, and then I will page down so you could take the rest of them. But I usually buy the bullish ones or the very bullish. I don't usually trade anything below bullish or very bullish. However, I do make some exceptions, as you will see. Let's take a look at a few of them. I do own Alcor, which has been trending up nicely, and we didn't quite get oversold here. But look at the money flow and the relative strength, still very good, and it's very bullish. So I'm holding Alcor, and the checklist is very strong. Archer Daniels, excuse me, you get a little water here. Talk so much you get dry. Archer Daniels Midlands was oversold. It's now trending up. It's the neutral zone. It was oversold. You can see the oversold indicator here, and everything looks pretty good otherwise. Very bullish. ADS is one of those stocks that Mark Shakin himself loves. The earnings, they report on the 21st. You could see what the nice uptrend it had once it was oversold. It took off and it's still going up. Okay, I think I own that one too, and I own this one, which is Applied Materials. Applied Materials was oversold. I don't like the money flow, but it looks as though the money is coming back into the stock. So it was oversold here. You can see the indicator here, and relative strength still looks pretty strong, and it's also very bullish. I own this one. This is a semiconductor one. And you can see I'm buying it off of the oversold condition, and the relative strength is strong, very bullish, and coming off the 200 and the 21-day average. EVR, which is Evercore Capital Markets. That one has been trending up nicely, was oversold here and took off. Okay. Now it's a bit overbought, but I don't own this, but it still looks pretty good to me. Relative strength is pretty strong, and it bumped off the 21-day and went up. It's now at 140. Google was oversold, but now it's in the neutral territory here. This is why it says neutral here. It was oversold and it seems to be trending up a little bit, although it's pretty much sitting on the 21-day average, but you could see the oversold signal here. This is a $2,000 stock, so I don't really trade it much at all. I don't trade it. Here's a stock, I think it's related to the 5G market, KT. KT Corporation, telecommunications, right? And it was oversold and it's now trending up a bit off the 21-day. Looks interesting. It's a cheap stock, probably about $12. MKSI. I used to own this. I've traded it a few times, but I don't like the choppiness here, so I sort of stay away from it now. This one I've owned for a while, and then I sold it. I bought it somewhere here. Then I sold it. It dropped all the way down. Right now it's up 10% on Friday, so I wouldn't be buying it up here. I would probably want to wait for a pullback. But it has been oversold, and now it's trending up, and it changed from neutral to bullish, or very bullish, in fact. This is a 5G, I think, too, 5G stock. Okay. Quanta Services is one that Mark Shakin likes, and you can see it was oversold here and it rallied and came out with earnings and it's going up again. Okay, so I like that one. The relative strength is strong. We have some good looking stocks here. Here's Ribbon Communications. It's been I traded it, ran it up, and then it came back down, but now it's coming off the 200-day average. It was up 2% on Friday. Looks like it wants to go higher. Excuse me, wants to go higher from here, I think. Raymond James, the brokerage house that my friend Mike works for, through RJF, coming off the 21-day average, was oversold, is still oversold, but all green on the screen. So this might be an interesting one to look at. It's about $120. Now the airlines have grown, have become popular again, with the indication that the market may be opening up, with everybody getting the vaccines, etc. So you will see that American Airlines is up. If we look at Alaska, it's the same thing, right? It was up 3.5%. I'm going to go pretty rapidly here. But if you look at the insurance company Chubb, you could see that came off the oversold line and it trended up. So that's an interesting looking one. How about the oil companies, which is Chevron? Chevron is up nicely. Of course, the energy stocks are up. And the relative strength change, I mean, the personality was really negative here. Now it's positive. So this thing could conceivably go higher if energy continues to rock. Here's Freeport McMoRan. It came down to the 21 day. It was oversold here, and it's now going up. I own this one, Generac. Oversold. We got an oversold condition here. Surprised that we don't have the arrow, but it was oversold here. And it's bumping off the 21-day average. I own it. Let's go to iPay. If you don't want to own the credit cards, this is a good one to own, but the credit cards are doing well again. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Square, etc. So it was oversold. This is the ETF, and now it's trending up into the neutral zone. We don't get the ratings, but because an ETF. L Brands had a nice day on Friday. It was up 8.8%. So I don't know how much higher it's going to go from here, but we had a pretty good day here on Friday, and you can see the checklist is pretty good. Here's another airline, Delta. Delta was oversold, and now it's ticking up. It's in the neutral line, but it was oversold, and the relative strength looks strong, coming off the 21-day average. Let me go back to Texas Instruments. I did buy some Texas Instruments. There was an insider buying a lot of shares recently. So it was oversold. So when we got that signal here, so I did buy some Texas Instruments. And you could see some of these other stocks. I bought Etsy. I bought Etsy again, coming off the 200-day average. I bought some Etsy. Um, the cruise ships are beginning to look good again. They're oversold, like the Norwegian airline, the Norwegian cruise ships, and some of the other airlines like Delta. Delta is oversold and ticking up. I don't know if I showed you this before, but the relative strength is strong. So Disco, which I traded here and sold it too soon. I should have held on to it like my friend did, but I didn't. Uh, regrets, regrets, regrets. Folks, I think that's about it for today. I hope you had a good weekend. This is the Sunday night. And have a good week trading next week. Okay, we'll try and do this again next week. Bye bye.